Hey guys, what's going on? It's Joby, and today I'm going to talk to you about pedal board order. The first thing that has to be said is that there is no correct pedal board order. The correct pedal board order is whatever works for you. Now, having said that, there is a better way to do it, in my opinion. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. What gives me the right to share this with you? Well, I have spent countless hours experimenting and researching and reading, and all I'm trying to do is save you the time. All right, let's get started. The very first thing you're going to want on your board is some sort of buffer. You probably already have one in the form of your tuner. If you do not have a buffer in your tuner, I would highly recommend picking one up and putting it first in line. Most likely though, your tuner does have a buffer built in, so you can skip step one and move straight to step two, which is a tuner. The reason you'd want your tuner first, besides having the buffer, is a tuner likes to see the cleanest, purest form of your guitar signal. You'll get the best results having your tuner first. After your tuner is where you're going to put any filter-based effects you're going to have, such as a wah pedal, an envelope filter, an auto wah, bit crushers, and in some cases, phasers. Some people like to put a phaser first because they're built with an LFO. I personally don't like to have a phaser in this position, but this is one of those circumstances where you're going to want to try it both ways and figure out for yourself which works best. Also, with wahs, if you happen to have a really old wah, you may want to put that before the tuner. They don't like buffers, so having it before the tuner is going to make an old wah react a little bit better. Another circumstance of try it out and see what works best. But in most cases, your wah is not going to be affected by the buffer, so putting it after your tuner is normally the spot you would want it. Okay, so after our filter effects is going to come any pitch shifting effects that you have, such as octave pedals or whammy pedals. Some people would also put a vibrato, not a univibe, not a rotavibe, but a vibrato pedal in with the pitch shifting effects because that's what it does. It shifts your pitch. However, to me, I think a vibrato pedal is really more of a modulation effect, and I put mine with my modulation effects. I have read some guides online that say put pitch shifting after fuzz and distortion and overdrive, but I'm here to tell you it works better before it. So you can go ahead and experiment if you'd like and see which works best for you, but I truly believe that you want your pitch shifting effects before any of your distortion boxes. Okay, now after our pitch shifting effects, you're going to want to put a volume pedal. Now, this is only if you want to adjust your gain, the amount of distortion that you have. If you don't, I would not recommend putting your volume pedal here. And I know that a lot of volume pedals come with a tuner out. I really don't recommend putting them at the beginning of your signal chain. And I'll tell you why in a little bit. But if you do want to adjust the amount of gain you're getting, like you would rolling down the volume knob on your guitar, this is where you would want to put your volume pedal. For me, it's not ideal. Next in the signal chain is where you would want to stick a compressor. The reason that you want to put your compressor before any of your dirt boxes, fuzz, distortion, overdrive, etc., would be if you put it after those pedals, you're not going to get the sustain you want, and it's going to raise up the noise floor. So it's going to make your noisy pedals noisier. So putting it before your dirt boxes will really help you out. Also, another reason I don't like a volume pedal early in the signal chain is because compressors hate them. So again, I really wouldn't put your volume pedal early in the signal chain, but we'll get to that. Some people like to put their EQ pedal after the compression, but before the distortion, overdrive, clean boost. I do not. I think an EQ comes after all of that, but I just wanted to let you know that this is also a typical spot to put an EQ pedal. I wouldn't recommend it, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Okay, the fun stuff. Next in our signal chain is going to be fuzz, followed by distortion, followed by overdrive, followed by clean boost. I know that maybe that sounds backwards to you. You're thinking in your head, I should go clean to dirty, but you really shouldn't. You want your dirtiest pedal first, next dirty second, so on, so forth. So fuzz, distortion, overdrive, clean boost. Now with the clean boost, this can vary. Sometimes you want to use a boost pedal to get more dirt. Sometimes you want to use it to get more volume. If you want to use your clean boost to get more dirt, put it before the fuzz, before the distortion, before the overdrive. If you want to use it to get more volume, put it after. If you're just using it to boost up your general clean tone, it really doesn't matter where you put it, but I would still recommend it being after your dirtier drive pedals. I also have to add that some fuzz pedals, specifically those made with germanium transistors, also hate buffers. So you may want to stick any germanium fuzz pedals right at the beginning of your signal chain before you hit any tuners or anything else that could have a buffer. Try to learn about your fuzz pedal and learn what kind of transistors it has. And if it has germanium, mess around with it in your signal chain and try to get it away from any buffers. You do not want a buffer before a fuzz pedal with germanium transistors. Next on the list would be the EQ pedal. The reason that you want to put your EQ pedal after your fuzz, distortion, overdrive, and clean boost is because you can then shape the tone of those pedals going into your amp. Also, neat little trick, if you don't know it, you can set an EQ pedal totally flat and just turn up the volume and use it as a boost. So you could put it before any of your dirt boxes and get a little more gain out of it as well, just like a clean boost. Basically, a flat EQ pedal turned up on the level is a clean boost pedal. Now we're going to talk about modulation pedals. If you have an amp that has an effects loop, this is where I would start putting pedals into the effects loop. From here on out, actually. But if you get all your dirt from dirt pedals, from fuzz and distortion, overdrive, etc., then this is just the next spot in the signal chain. So anyway, what you would want to put here would be a chorus, a flanger, a vibrato, a univibe, a rotavibe. In some cases, ring modulators, even though I personally like to put ring modulators with my pitch shifting effects. So I would put a ring modulator with the octave and the whammy pedals, but you may like it better in this position. So again, another spot for experimentation. Just figure out what you like better. Also, I like my tremolo with my modulation effects. Some people put a tremolo last, and I understand why they do that because it's going to chop up everything. So it makes sense, but I like to have my reverb and such on the tremolo, so this is where I put it. But at the very end of your signal chain is also an acceptable and well-known place to put your tremolo, and I kind of intend on putting mine there to mess with it in the future. Basically, I haven't done it yet, but it makes sense to me to have it at the end, and I'd like to try it myself. So, experiment. Also, it should be said that some people like to have their modulation effects before their distortion. I personally really don't like that. I don't understand it. It doesn't work for me. But as with everything else, you really should try it yourself. Okay, now we're on to where you would actually want to put a volume pedal. The reason that I like my volume pedal here is if I'm using a distortion effect, it's going to keep that distortion consistent. So if you're trying to do swells or pedal steel sounds or something along those lines, this is definitely where you want to have that volume pedal. That's why it just doesn't make sense to me to have it back at the beginning of the signal chain. Right here is where I believe it should be. Again, though, if you're only using the volume pedal to adjust the amount of gain, your mileage may vary. Okay, at this point, we're going to stick in our delay pedals. Analog, digital, doesn't really matter. This is where they go. Some people in the past have got great results putting a delay pedal before distortion or in front of an amp back in the day when amps really didn't have effects loops, but just try it. Okay, trust me. Try something fast with a lot of repeats and put it in front of your distortion, and then try it after your distortion. And I think you're going to like it a lot better after your distortion. It's infinitely more controllable, and it's infinitely cleaner sounding. But again, different strokes for different folks, man. But right here is where I would put my delay pedals. And most people would agree with me. Okay, next up is our reverb pedals. Reverbs generally should follow a delay. You want to reverberate the tails of the delay, not vice versa. Again, as I said in the beginning, you can try it. You can experiment. You can put your reverb before your delay. You most likely will like it better after, though. And then finally in our signal chain is where we would want to put our tremolo pedal. Now, as I said earlier, personally, I like my tremolo in with my modulation effects, but a lot of people put the tremolo at the end so it chops up everything. And that makes perfect sense to me. And in fact, I am going to try that myself in the future. The next time I put together a board, I'm going to give it a shot. Not sure I'm going to like it, but it makes total sense to me that you would want your tremolo at the absolute end. So I put it at the end in this list because I think that is proper. So anyway, guys, that's it. I really, truly hope this helps you and saves you the hours and hours and hours and hours of time that I spent learning these things. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. If you disagree with me, just leave your opinion in the comments and try to help everyone out. And if you really like this video and you want to see more content from me like it, please click that subscribe button. That's it. Peace. Take it easy.